Well everyone, it looks like it's time to go ahead and compare the Apple Watch Series 10 and the Apple Watch Series 7 and see which particular Apple Watch is the better one for you. Now here's the thing, if you have all the money in the world, then please go ahead and buy something like the Apple Watch Series 10. That is going to be the way better Apple Watch for the average everyday person, and that would definitely make a lot more sense for the average person to go ahead and buy than something like the iPhone, than something like the Apple Watch Series 7. So kind of keep that in mind, not the biggest deal in the world, but if you do want to pick up any one of these watches for the cheapest prices that I find, links will be down in the description. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these watches, the big thing to keep in mind here is that the Apple Watch Series 7 came out back in 2021. So this was a couple of years ago, as some of you probably would have expected. And that is kind of a really big thing to keep in mind, because if you're going to go through and pick up a watch, you might not want the oldest one of all time. And with something like this one, right, with both of these watches, they're getting very, very good displays. The Apple Watch Series 7, 45 and 41 millimeter sizes. It's an LTPO OLED display, which looks really nice, but it does get up to 1000 nits of brightness. Now that is not the brightest panel of all time, as some of you may probably be able to tell. It could definitely have been brighter, and I think that is one thing to keep in mind with the Apple Watch Series 10. This watch comes out in two different sizes that are bigger than the Series 7. So the Apple Watch Series 10 comes out in a 46 millimeter size and a 42 millimeter size. So this right there can be another big thing to kind of keep in mind here. Because if you're going to go through and pick up a watch, well, the Apple Watch Series 10 comes out in bigger sizes. They're not really that much bigger in size, but it's bigger. It's also much slimmer than the Apple Watch Series 7, which is another very big thing to keep in mind. And on top of those things, it gets way brighter. The technology of that panel is a little bit different. So it is a, wide angle OLED display, and it gets up to 2000 nits of brightness inside of that panel. So that right there is a very, very big thing to keep in mind. And if you're going to go ahead and pick up a device, it's always nice to be able to pick up a device that's going to give you a better panel. And that for sure is giving you one without a doubt. Now, on top of those things, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is the fact that on both, you're both getting kind of the same build. So they're both like aluminum frame. You're getting the two buttons on the side. You're getting wireless charging on the back of both of them, which is a very, very nice thing to have. Beyond that, there's not really anything super different between both. Like the band selection on both is very, very similar. Like you can get both bands working on both devices, which is nice to have. And beyond that, like I said, there's not really anything else super insane going on here. They both have a lot of capability. They both have IP certification for Apple Watches and stuff, which is really nice. The big thing you're going to notice though is probably when it comes down to the features that you're going to use within these particular watches. So what I mean by this is basically with the Apple Watch Series 10 and the Series 7, there's some overlapping features here and there. For starters, you have things like, sleep tracking on both, but the Apple Watch Series 10 has sleep apnea notifications, which is just a more enhanced version of that. They both have Vital app and, the Vitals app where you can check your vitals, which is really nice. But the Apple Watch Series 10 supports wrist temperature. They both support cycle tracking, but the Series 10 supports temperature sensing. So there's some overlaps here and there between both, which is very interesting. The big thing though to keep in mind here is that if you're talking about features that both of them have, there is a specific feature that is a little bit better on the Apple Watch Series 7, and that is the blood oxygen application. They both have, ECG apps and, high and lower heart rate notifications, things like that. But the Apple Watch Series 10 does not have the blood oxygen app. And that's because they kind of got into a lawsuit. So the Series 7 actually has that type of capability, where the Series 10 actually doesn't have it. They both support emergency SOS mode and fall detection, but the Apple Watch Series 10 does have the, crash detection built in. So that's another very big difference there too. Now, in my personal experience, when it comes down to the performance of an Apple Watch, it doesn't really matter how fast an Apple Watch is or anything like that, because you're not really going to be noticing super big differences, I would say. For example, I'm still using an Apple Watch Series 10, right? That's a very, very old Apple Watch, and I'm still having a very, very good time with it. Did I say Apple Watch Series 10? I'm still using Apple Watch Series 4 is what I meant to say, and I'm still having a really good time with it when it comes down to it. With something like the Apple Watch Series 7, this is still also a very, very fast watch. You're still going to be able to get a very good experience with this thing, and I do think that in and of itself is another very big thing to keep in mind there. Can you go ahead and use this watch to check notifications and, track your workouts and things like that? If the answer is yes, then I'm probably going to have a really good time with that type of watch. So I would say from the difference from the S7 chip to the S10 chip, the main difference you're probably going to find is the fact that with something like the Apple Watch Series 10, it's going to be a watch that lasts a little bit longer in terms of software support. So that right there is another kind of big thing to keep in mind there too. If you're going to go through and pick up a watch, that is going to be one of the bigger advantages for something like the Apple Watch Series 10. So basically, to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I will definitely tell you is is that if you're going to go through and pick up a device, I really don't think you can go wrong with an Apple Watch Series 10. This is obviously the fastest watch you can buy, has all the capability, all the features that you'd ever want inside of a watch. And I definitely do think this is a kind of a no-brainer watch, right? But here's the other big thing to keep in mind here too. I think the Series 7 is still a very, very good watch to pick up as well. And you can't really go wrong with a watch like that either. Like, that is genuinely still a very fast and strong watch. And, for the everyday average person, I think it's a very good watch for them to go and pick up. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.